Are trail runners happier, nicer to be around, more pleasant than road runners?
Well, you used to run in central London and now you're frolicking around the countryside, but you're still a nightmare to be around. So I'd say it makes no difference.
Yeah, fair enough.
No, come back. Nothing. Luckily, someone who does know the difference is Jess Best, who's here today. Jess has got one of the best titles I think I've ever heard. She's a doctoral researcher at the University of Westminster, where she's exploring the psychological transformation that takes place in trail and ultra marathon runners. She's also just completed a 13-month study involving 34 ultra marathon runners across the UK, looking into how the sport shapes their mindset. Jess, essentially, you're going to be a doctor of ultra running.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah. Ultra running
cool.
events, let's add that on there. 'Cause, yeah.
Is there anyone else in the world who's a doctor of ultra running?
So there are some fantastic ultra running researchers.
But no
they tend to
doctors?
trend. No, there are
Oh, are there?
doctors
Just
and
say yes,
professors,
just-
but they tend to trend more towards sports science, less of what I do, more towards the practical nutrition body stuff.
And what you're going to help us do today is potentially start a running civil war
God, yeah.
We'll give it a go.
as we look at the psychological difference between trail runners and road runners, which me and Rick are so perfect for.
Yeah, there might be some bleeps in this episode. And we might have to mark it as explicit, but then don't we lose a load of people listening if we mark it as explicit? Owen?
It'll be fine. That's Owen's problem for
right,
later.
okay.
But let's get into it.
Let's do it. So obviously I'm training for Copenhagen at the moment.
The 1 mile.
The 1 mile, trying to, take on Josh Kerr's.
Right. Okay, really? You're going to
mantra of
relate what
dominance.
you're doing to what he's doing?
Yes.
This is just the kind of athlete Rick
Yeah,
is.
this
Jess.
is- yeah.
You'll get used to this.
So
love
obviously I
it. Great.
started,
Oh, actually,
picking up that
should we-
speedy stuff.
Yeah.
On Saturday. Did you see my times on Saturday?
Well, you mentioned this before we pressed record, and Owen kind of sniggered to himself and said, "Oh yeah, you're 4.97." So it's good to know that rounding's not your strong
It's
point.
so annoying. It's so.
Did you get Strava taxed?
Yeah, it's so annoying because
Yeah.
it feels like whenever I do it, it looks like I've cut a lot of corners.
Oh, which is so unlike you
But I
to
didn't-
cut
I didn't-
any
I didn't cut any
corners.
corners.
I know.
I just followed the racing line, but obviously,
Was it a park run?
yeah, it was parkrun. Yeah.
No. At
Yeah.
what time?
Well, now I don't do. Now I've moved house and we don't do Hellsfire anymore. God, which is a relief. I've got a faster parkrun near me now, which is flatter.
So you're going faster.
So amazingly, what happens, right? When you take hills and glaciers out the equation,
Yeah.
you run faster.
So what time did you run?
It was 22 minutes odd.
Right, it's not a PB.
No, it wasn't PB.
Right, it's
not far off.
It's not that much faster.
No, not far off.
All right.
I like
This is what you're going to find out. You're going to be. I think you're going to start to miss those hills.
No, I think
because
you're probably right.
You could hide behind the
you're probably right.
glaciers.
Yeah.
You've got nowhere to hide
you're probably
now.
I like your costume today, by the way.
Thanks, mate. You've already called it a costume. Look, I'm in a very, for audio listeners, I'm in a very fashionable 2-piece shirt, shorts. They're interconnected.
Yeah? Are you ready
Yeah.
for, how's your training going for Copenhagen?
I'm so fed up of being injured, but I am slowly becoming a cyclist. So
Are you?
my week now.
After what we talked about last week?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The
Cross
resist.
training?
So the bike that I'm using in the gym, I live out in the not like remote countryside, but I live more in the countryside
Yes,
than
yeah.
London. And I've joined my local gym, which is a gym out of a secondary school, so that I can run there. So bless this gym. It's actually great, but in the biking department, it needs a bike that has power, or at least if it does have power, I can't find it. But it did have RPM, which stands for rotations per minute.
Yeah.
I don't know, something like that.
just
So
gonna say
anyway,
yes.
from what Andy said last week, I made sure that when I was doing my interval session this week, the RPM was right, but I still have no idea about power, and my resistances were slightly higher.
Does yours have a watt button on the side? Because the one at our
No.
gym has a weird, you have to toggle it to have the
Oh,
watts.
to
So
have
it's like
the
an
watt.
RPM, watts and miles on the same thing. And there's an indiscrete button that you have to just like...
Okay, maybe I need to find the
find the
button.
toggle,
I need
mate.
to find the button.
Find
But
your
my
toggle.
week is currently consisting of an easy run, an interval session on the bike, and a gym session, another easy run, probably another bike, and then my long run is on a mountain bike, which I'm greatly enjoying because I refuse to become a road cyclist because cars are scary.
What it's like to have time in your life.
I know. And I take the dog for a walk as well.
Honestly, unbelievable. I can't imagine having that much time. Jess, do you have enough time to get that amount of running in?
No.
And exercise?
Nor do I want to. But actually, a while ago, I remember on the podcast, you guys said, I don't trust people who go out for a run during the middle of the day. That is me, because I have a very flexible job. So I go for my long run at like 11 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday, and then I'll teach in the afternoon or whatever. So my running is worked out around
when the heat of the day, you're just out.
At the moment, it's a mix, depending on breathing, because I am a severe asthmatic. So sometimes it's too polluted and we say no, and we do it in the gym instead. But yeah, I mean, I'm plodding and I'm not going fast enough for it to be a problem. So we're having a nice wee plod. And then I'm going to the gym with my husband because we joined the gym recently.
Do you run ultras as well as study them?
No. So this is an interesting point. It's probably important to address. I'm quite a new runner.
Yeah.
I am a researcher in the sense of like, I spend most of my life, for the last 5-6 years, I've been researching ultra runners for my MA and for my PhD. And through the process of doing that and talking to all of these amazing people who run 100 miles or run 200 miles or run 50 miles, it just made me think, I could give that a go. I could start running. So I've done like 2 half marathons. An ultra could be in my future because I like being outside. I'm quite slow, but I'm very determined. So I feel like slow and steady and just getting it done is probably more.
Also overcoming what you've got with the asthma as well.
Yeah. Trail is easier for that because walking's more socially acceptable, and hills, and it's just a little bit, road running can be quite intense and it's often in cities. So like Hackney Half, I really struggled. I had an asthma attack at 12k because it was just very hot and very polluted and I just wasn't expecting to struggle. Yeah. So trail is a good avenue for me. I'm doing more trail running. But we've been on a pause because I absolutely stacked it at the beginning of July.
Oh, really?
No.
I got my foot stuck under a tree root and went flying. For anyone who has me on running Instagram, they will have seen my giant red knee, which looked like someone had been at me with a hammer. So we're now back.
I was going to say I know the answer to the question, are trail runners happier than road runners?
Maybe
but now I'm not sure.
See, I'm having a great time doing it.
It's
what
fun.
Is the answer
There
to
are
that
ups
question?
and downs.
Oh, I mean, if we're doing super simple, yes, generally, yes, they are. Or they're happier with themselves. That's what I'm going to say.
Is interesting.
Yeah.
Why do you think they are happier with themselves?
So, okay. For clarity, most of my research and the sources I read is ultra running based. There's not actually a massive amount of literature on trail runners specifically, but we tend to draw on ultra running literature and apply it because there's a lot of crossover with like adventure leisure, being outside, running, cycling, but in nature.
Yeah.
And that's one of the big things, firstly, is running in nature allows us, well, sometimes separation from our lives, time on our own, which can be quite confronting for some people, spending a lot of time on your own, particularly if you're someone who's always around your kids, your workmates, your family, you have a very, very busy life. Those spaces on your own can be, for some people, particularly if you don't listen to anything, if you don't listen to music, they can be quite reflective. They can be quite meditative in some ways. So you have that like reflective time with yourself. There's also facing challenges and testing your resilience. You tend to increase your resilience. We see particularly ultra runners, but trail runners have a higher resilience level than road runners because you're facing much more challenges. One of my favorite things any of my participants have said, and it's come out a lot, is the idea that for an ultra, you can prepare, but you can never be ready. You can prep for hills, right? You can do your nutrition, you can test your kit, you can go and recce it, but you don't know what the weather's going to be like on the day. You don't know how you're going to feel. You don't know what's going to happen. You might fall over. You might really struggle. Your fueling might go wrong. So there's all these things that can happen. And those spontaneous challenges can test us.
Yeah.
And by overcoming those both in training, so if we're trail running just in our day-to-day life, but also in events, we're seeing that increase in resilience. I am glancing down, guys, because I have my sources here, so we can share
so many notes. It's great.
I love the prep.
I love all the notes.
As an academic, you don't want to come onto podcasts and just be like, yeah, I think this. You want to make sure you've got something to back it up.
You need to break that. So obviously there's a difference between ultra runners and trail runners, because you could be a trail runner because you live on the side of a hill.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you just go out for a couple of K on a plod on a Saturday morning. So I kind of get the fact that you're within nature, so you are naturally happier. But I think the point that you raised about it's a different environment to what you're used to is actually the real specific and fascinating area. Because if you live in a city and then you go running in the city, you're not changing your environment.
No.
But if you live in the city and you go running in the trails, then you are changing your environment. So your mind resets. Is that right?
Well, sort of. You face different challenges. And actually, I'd like at this point to say something that I think is incredibly important. Earlier, I said that trail runners tend to be happier than road runners, but there is a higher barrier to entry for trail running. If you live in central London, getting out to a trail, first of all, is much harder.
Yeah.
But also the kit's more expensive. There's a lot more time away from your family, longer runs. There is a privilege of being able to run alone safely.
Yeah, Ross Noble has to take a snake bite kit.
I'll be honest, that's one I hadn't heard and is a completely, runners talk about safety from injury. I just love that though, because that's such a environment specific precaution. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, potentially unnecessary in the UK, but in Australia, that's what you got.
Well, exactly. Although we do have snakes in the UK.
True.
Not to freak anyone out. But also things like, your access, your socioeconomic status, your race, gender, ethnicity, age, they all can be... Well, they can come into play a little bit more when we think about trail running. I've also seen older runners talking about this, where, like, for example, I've got some older runners. The oldest person I think in my study is in their late 60s, early 70s, who's done like the Marathon Day Club and everything. Love her, stunning. And she was talking about the safety from injury element as well, of being on your own on trails, or going to an event and maybe needing extra support
That's
and not feeling
interesting.
confident at getting that.
So wouldn't you want to be closer to people because of that fear of injury?
But you want to be close to people you know, or that you trust, or that you feel will help you. Because the difference is, right, we've all been in a sports setting, whether at school or in a super speedy run club that says they're running a relaxed pace and it's a 4:30 kilometre, where we've just been left for dust, right? If you don't feel like you're going to be supported in that space, then you're not going to feel as welcome. And it's important to think about how we actively invite people into those spaces. So organisations like Black Trail Runners is a great example. There's also Girls on Hills who do loads of stuff, getting people out into the trails. But also sometimes it's just about recognising the nuance in the conversation. Because I can sit and tell you, absolutely, I believe anyway, and the sources bear me out, that trail runners tend to be happier in themselves. They tend to be more resilient, they have lower stress levels, they have a more positive outlook on life. But those benefits are harder to access if your experience on the trails is overwhelmingly negative. And I don't think that's controversial to say.
But are some people's experiences on the trails overwhelmingly negative?
Yeah, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
Sarah,
I think
have you had negative experiences on the trails?
I personally haven't had an experience where I turn up to something and feel unwelcome. But I think I'm in a privileged position where I haven't been a back of the pack pace.
Yeah.
I feel comfortable in the countryside because I didn't grow up in a city. So I think I can't, but I have.
So speed plays into it then?
I would say,
yeah. Because I think that would be like for a lot of people, when you hit the trails, you're running a slower pace than what you would be able to run on the road. So for some people, they might actually be quite comfortable within a road race, but then they might go, oh my gosh, trail race, what are the cutoffs? Actually, even when I did my first ultramarathon, I did look at the cutoffs. Yeah. Because I think when it is new...
Well, also, it makes you feel better. Everyone looks at the cutoffs.
Yeah, I think
I've
it's
got
just
people
good.
in my study who've done like 70 ultras. They still look at the cutoffs. Because you just don't know how you're going to be on that.
And
day.
also you don't know. And also like if you do like, I'm clumsy. If you do fall over in the middle of a race, that's when you need to know what the cutoffs are. Because you're like, do I have time to bandage up my hand?
Yeah, exactly.
Or should I really be cracking on?
Should I be
like
walking right now and bandaging or whatever I'm doing?
I'll just pour water over it and then crack on.
But I think speeds are really interesting. I'm going to give you an example. I'm not going to throw this race under the bus because I don't know if they still do this, but this came up 4 times in participants from completely different part of the country who didn't know each other, where they had one race organisation who consistently would pack up the race arch, everything, before the back of the pack runners had come through.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah. So experiences like that as well, right? If you're finishing a 50 miler is an achievement, whether you do it at the front of the pack or the back, right?
Yeah.
But experiences like that can make people feel like, oh, well,
it's not as much as the people who
or
came through,
I've had someone who him and his wife both, he was in the study, but him and his wife both trail run, and he said that his wife had basically been bullied to drop out of a race by the back, like the back marshal.
Oh, by the back marshal.
Yeah, he was like, come on. So Now, I would say there are still so many more better experiences, but I just think the nuance is important because I don't want people to be listening to this going, well, I'm a trail runner and I've had a horrid time. You know, like, it is also about community. It's about finding the people who work for you. So, for example, I am part of a run club. Well, it's like a run collective because it's not like an organised. It's a bunch of people who go, I'm going for a run. Do you want to come with?
Yeah,
it's quite nice. The reason I'm part of them is they let me join them for a study I was running and then I just stayed. But it's also because they have a proper no one is left behind policy. In that, if I need to take my inhaler or if I need to stop or if someone else has got an injury and they need to stop, someone will be with you. And they won't make a huge thing about it. It's just someone will be with you. And you're not made to feel like a problem. So I think if you're watching this going, oh, I run races, I run clubs, how can I make a more positive trail experience? That's a big one. Yeah. Make sure you don't leave people around or just make it easy to participate because the positive benefits, which I know is what you guys got me on to talk about, and I promise I will talk about it. The positive benefits are massive.
Yeah, so let's
massive.
Let's talk about some of the positives. If we're saying trail runners are happiest people ever, I have a question.
Yes.
So for a lot of people listening to this, or watching this, you might not be a trail runner. And there are some quite niche things, especially in ultramarathons, which I find bizarre coming from the road running world. One of them being, if you ask people, why did you want to run London Marathon? Why did you want to run London Marathon, Rick? What was the best part of the day?
The buzz from people.
The crowds, the people running with you. Okay, let's go to many ultramarathons up and down the UK. I've heard this happen. The crew are not allowed, or like the people who are setting up the race are not allowed to cheer you on. You're not allowed any spectators. And like even some of the people staff in the aid stations like can't necessarily help you. If these people are supposed to be like so much happier, then how do you put them in that situation and they're still buzzing and having a great time?
So this is such an interesting point, and actually it's one of the best things I think in the research. There's a lot of it. There's a good body of psychological research about this. When we do shorter distances, marathon and below, which tend to be on a road, right?
Hear that, Rick? Shorter distances.
Well, when people are running a couple 100 miles, under marathon and over marathon, we see a behavioural difference. So marathon and belower tend to be extrinsically motivated. And what we mean by that is there is an external motivation. So that might be beating
the mirror
someone else.
For Rick.
It might be...
Everyone's got a bit of mirror in them.
Yeah, exactly.
Could be looking great when you finish.
Exactly.
It could be weight concern. So some people get into running for losing weight, right?
Yeah.
It could be speed. It could be beating someone else.
All legitimate reasons.
Absolutely, but they're extrinsic. They're external to you. You're doing it for an external reason. Whereas when we get into beyond marathons, we move into intrinsic motivation, which is doing something for the joy of doing it. Because I like doing this, or you enjoy the actual process of doing this, you're doing it for you. Now, you might have personal goals within that. But what's really important, and that's actually, I should say, there's so many sources that cite personal goal achievement as massive for ultramarathon runners. And for, by extension, shorter distance trail runners kind of get lumped in. But that goal doesn't matter or relate to anyone else around them. It might be my A goal is to do this in 18 hours. But my B goal is just to finish and my C line's to get to the start line. Mm-hmm. But they're all about you. They're all about what you want to do, why you want to do it. You don't really care if there's 2 people participating or 150. Doesn't matter, because it's about what you're doing. The other things that's important to think about, and I found this a lot in my research, it's coming out like a big sort of glowing theme in my data collection, is that ultra runners like adventure and exploration. They want to go new places. They want to feel that sense of exploration. They want to push their boundaries. And it's important not to take pushing boundaries as I'm an adrenaline junkie who's going to do something insane. It's just, I want to see what I'm capable of.
Yeah.
Thinking about self-efficacy. What can I do?
Right.
So those kind of things keep them going. It's not about everyone cheering them on.
I take all that on. I mean, if I did any less parenting than I already did and started ultra running, you know, it's like you take days away a week, travel, everything. So that's all the positive side of it. But is there not a part of it that's go, well, you've got to have that much time on your hands to go away and do it? that actually you're giving up something else to do?
Absolutely. But I would like to flag, so in my study, 34 people from the age of, I think the youngest is 19 up to 70. I would say apart from the last 4 who are retired, everybody else has a full-time job, and 90% of the people in the study have more than 2 children.
How do people have so much time?
So
Do they?
yes, and there's people with jobs who are firefighters, who are
have
teachers.
so much time?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
You know what, mate? I think if you spent more time running and less time in the hot tub, you might be able to train for an ultra marathon.
I haven't got a hot tub at the moment. It's a really
Is that a sore point? Right, sorry.
Let's move on.
Well,
The
let me
voice of
give you-
reason is
You know
finished
how you
now.
said intrinsic and extrinsic?
Yeah.
Rick is hot tub motivated.
Yeah.
If the hot tub's judging you, that makes it extrinsic. But if you just want to
Right.
be in there, it's intrinsic.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I
Rick is
don't-
He does that for the joy of doing
I
it.
know
you
a lot of. We go out and we go to running festivals. You know, Sarah and I have travelled extensively this year with the tour for the show, which has been amazing. We've met so many runners who've done long distance ultra running, and I understand now from what you've said about that mentality difference
Yeah.
in people who, because you do see it.
Can I caveat that with one thing? Because I found this fascinating. I recently went to the Peak District for the weekend.
Yeah.
And there are lots of amazing races in the Peak District. One being the Pennine Way, which is or the Spine Race, which goes through the spine of the UK. One of the winners of, I'm not sure which length of distance it was of the spine, works in a shop, in a sports shop in one of the towns. And me and Tom went into the shop, looked at some of the clothes, chatted to the guy. There was someone else looking at shoes, didn't mention it once. And then there was a little drum, display stand
And he lost his voice.
with a trophy on it. No, and it literally had his name on it and then a picture above it. And me and Tom were like, hang on a second, that's that guy. And I was like, fair play.
Fair play.
So
Fair
humble.
play. Tom, by the way,
yeah.
looking very svelte at the moment. Understand why
He
you're
is.
marrying him.
Well, he's very happy too because he is training for an ultra
Hey,
marathon.
look, I could see it in his face. Look, just chiseled. Thought when I walked in, I got it.
He's got a little chiseler.
He's a man transformed by ultra running, I would say, because he used to hate running. Now he talks like a runner, and he's beginning to sound like one as well.
Well, can I suggest something here? This is a lovely segue to think about when you're talking about how does anyone fit it in? There is a point of running, and we think about it on the serious leisure spectrum. So we start as a neophyte, which is, oh, hooray, I'm going to start a new thing. I have no idea what I'm doing. Once we get up to the core devotee end of that spectrum, you are reshaping your life around what you do. So that might mean I'm not going to the pub on Friday night because I want to do parkour on Saturday morning. It might be when my kids and I go on holiday, we're going fast packing and we're going camping as a family and we're doing this big walk. It might be, so one of my runners did the Race Across Scotland. So that's 200 miles. It's a brilliant trip, route. And I asked him, obviously, that's massive. How are you training for that? Because he's got 3 kids, I think. And he said one of the big things he does is he runs while his kids are at their activities. So he drops his basketball, his son does. He drops him there. It's a 2-hour session, or 2-3 hours. His other son does it. Goes out for a huge, great, big, long run, comes back, picks them up. So you start weaving it into your life.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the difference. Because what a lot of us do is we look at the training load and we say, God, I could never fit that into my life. But we're not living the same kinds of lives. And that's
Yeah.
not to say we're not doing the same thing. They're still really busy. One of the people in my study is a very senior firefighter and is on call half the time. So she was talking about how she can't do some runs she has to do as laps because she can't be further than 15 minutes from the car if her pager goes off.
Oh,
So there's
smart,
also
yeah.
adaptations that we make. So
Well, we interviewed Jasmine Paris soon after she had completed the Barkley Marathon, and she was waking up at ridiculous o'clock, like midnight or something, to go and do hill reps with
Yeah.
her dog in the rain.
Well, do you know there's another reason for that as well, though? This is my favourite thing, is prepping for things like night running. So
Yeah.
lots of the people in my study talk about, I was like, how did you do it? If you're running 100 miles, guaranteed you're going to be running through it one night. And they're like, oh yeah, I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning and then ran before work and then went to work at 8. So I've got that experience of running night into day
Yeah.
or vice versa. But it is possible. But I think the point about someone like Tom, as someone who's watched the channel for a long time, I think he's a fantastic example, and I hope I can borrow him for this, of somebody who's found the ethos of ultra and trail running much more comfortable than road running, because they are different.
Yeah.
It may shock you, but over half of the ultra runners in my study have never run a marathon, and they're actively scared of them, or like actively
Of, like,
nervous
doing
about
a
them.
fast road marathon.
Well, also of being in that community, because it's from the outside. It may not be in it. Please don't be offended. But from the outside, it can feel like it's a lot of lycra and comparing watch times. Which, if you're somebody who's there for vibes, you're there for the fun, you're there for the journey. Yeah.
Yeah, there for vibes.
You're there for the vibes.
There for vibes.
But it can be a lot, right? It can be really intimidating to go, oh, I don't run a sub 3 marathon, so I'm not, this isn't for me. Whereas ultras, it's, did you finish it? Yeah, great, congrats, fantastic.
I think what we've discovered here is it is two very different worlds. And you might be listening to this thinking, I'm so happy and I'm a road runner. Or you might be listening to this thinking, actually, I'm going to give one or the other, whichever one I'm not doing, a go. And I think that's what we would encourage here is I personally would sit completely on the fence with this. I sometimes adore road running and love like running in a pack, doing interval sessions together, completing a road marathon. However, I've also completed ultra marathons and have had the best, most fun, most fulfilling adventure of my life. So I'm not going to choose an answer, but I think what we can say is that probably on the whole, maybe because there's less of them, trail runners are quite happy. And so if you take one thing away from this, sign yourself up to a trail race, because you can't PB on the roads every single week, but you could be out on the trails.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing I'm going to suggest, one of the big benefits is running in nature and running on your own. Give it a go. Go for a run in a nice country park or whatever if you live in a city, or just go for a run. It could be nature peripheral. Take your headphones out.
Get off the tarmac.
Yeah.
Take your headphones out.
Yeah.
Listen to the sound.
I never run races or park runs with headphones.
So neither I do park run headphones, but
changed. Absolutely, it was a game changer when I did that. It's such a good point.
No, I completely agree. So I do all my races headphoneless, always.
Yeah.
Because I want to hear what's going on. I want to hear the vibe. I want to soak it all up.
Yeah.
But in the countryside, it's so quiet. And a lot of people can't, they struggle to be on their own in that way. But that's actually where a lot of the benefits are coming from. So if you're looking for some of the psychological benefits of doing this, but you don't live near a mountain to run up, you can still go for a run in your park or whatever.
Yeah.
Take your headphones out and have a bit of space for yourself.
Sarah, we've been speaking to a couple of people who really are long distance heroes, what they've been doing.
And you've been speaking to Jack.
Jack Pitcher, who took on an unbelievable challenge running across Australia and then thought, you know what, that wasn't enough. I'll do the same across Iceland.
Let's hear from them.
Jack, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
So, Iceland versus Australia. You got back from Iceland 3 months ago. You did Australia in 2024. They were completely different distances. Which one was harder?
Do you know what? It was a lot of people will look at it from the outside and say Australia was harder because it was 2,700 miles compared to 460. But they were both different beasts, and they were both just as hard as each other, because Australia, a majority of it was just flat, hot tarmac. And it was actually really fun to run, you know, not a lot of incline, beautiful scenery. It was more mentally challenging, whereas Iceland, it was very, very intense. It was, look, you've got to run 110K a day. There's so much awful things that can happen to you. You get 4 seasons in one day. There's so many hills. So physically, Iceland broke me, whereas Australia mentally almost broke me.
Has your definition of what success looks like changed after you've done these events?
Do you know what? Yeah, it has. It really has. I thought running across Australia, and before Australia, I never done an official marathon. I was a roofer, and I ran 95 marathons in 61 days before ever doing a full marathon. And for me, I thought if I just get to Bondi, I would become an instant success. I would have that. I'd live that sort of runner influencer life. I'd have a lot of PR, and it never came my way. And I then decided to do Iceland and have another bite at the cherry. And for me, it's still, no matter how hard you work, you can't just do a one-off thing. You have to keep going and going and going. And it's opened my eyes up to like seeing these really successful running influencers and athletes who work with some incredible brands. It's made me realize that you can't just do one thing. You have to keep going and going and going until you get your lucky break. So it definitely has changed my outlook for sure.
What was your take on running influencers? Because they're coming for a fair bit of stick, more so recently. The argument is they might take people's race spots when there's an awful lot of competition for some of the bigger races.
I don't consider myself an influencer at all. I find it quite hard to post content and do content. It doesn't feel comfortable and natural for me. But at the same time, though, if I started to post and I started to go have brands go, look, we'd like to offer you these shoes, we'd like to offer you this, we'd like to offer you that.
Take them.
Take them. Take them. 100% take them. Life's expensive. And if you get a freebie here and there, 100% take them.
Exactly.
But I also feel the people that might look at these influencers and look at running influencers, I think they can get a bit hard on themselves. I'm the same. I work incredibly hard.
Yeah, just before we let you go, are trail runners happier than road runners?
Possibly, yeah. I think I follow some trail runners and they're always out in the country. They're always up some mountain somewhere and they have incredible views. When I feel like some road runners are just slapping the tarmac in the middle of a hot city. I don't know. However, trail runners can't get a little flat white and a pastry after a run. We can find that it's more accessible for us. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, it'd be a good test that we'd have to try and measure it somehow in a race or something like that. But I don't know. I think I dabble in a bit of trail running. I live right near Swinley Forest in Berkshire, so I do a bit of trail running. But my main love's tarmac running, and that's what I had to lean in for Iceland. But yeah, I don't know. Trail runners seem to look like they have great fun. They can camp as well. So yeah, we'll see. I think trail runners are slightly happier.
Jack, keep doing what you're doing, mate. Thanks very much for coming on the show.
Thanks, Rick. Thanks for having me.
So there we go.
So interesting. Should we have some questions?
We should. Duncan from Manchester, long-time listener of the podcast. Thank you for inadvertently inspiring me to a bunch of PBs with a sub 4 on the cards for next year. Something I've wanted to do since I was 21. I thought that was on my cards too. Didn't happen. But it will do for you. There's still time. It will do for you, Duncan.
And you.
There is still time. Yeah, next year. Can you? I've just committed
You said
myself
it.
to something.
There we go. Locked in. Rick Kelsey, sub 4 marathon, 2020. What year are we in?
I just get
2027.
myself
Yeah, it'd be
in trouble with
2027.
stuff,
How
don't I?
exciting. Can't wait for his next marathon.
Can you clear something up, please? Between me and my wife, asked Duncan. Her 5k PB is faster than mine on Strava. However, her first kilometre on that run was 2:14. 2:14. She used her phone in London before getting a Garmin Forerunner. I flagged this and said that there was a clear GPS error, to which she was annoyed. Surely, auditing her performance is a civil duty.
I think this is what people talk
2:14, of course
about.
it is.
You'd never hear two trail runners having this argument.
No, you wouldn't.
Do you audit it?
Yeah,
That's
I'm so sorry, Duncan, but yeah, your wife does need to audit that as a
Yeah.
matter of urgency.
True, but also does Duncan like being married? Because that's not something I point out. Like,
It's not going to go. Yeah, but for his own, sense of competitiveness.
should his sense of competition be based at his wife? Can she not just be happy about it?
Oh,
Or can
you
he
two are
say
going
next
in.
time, oh, that error's come up again. Should I have a look at it?
Should we have a look? No, I go all in.
Well,
Be like,
I think
absolutely not.
it's a bit like, do you audit your 5Ks? You were taking the mick out of me. Obviously, I all keep running just a little shy of 5K.
Yeah.
But obviously, I'm running, but I don't know how to do it, so that's why.
It's a good point though, right? Like my park run's 4.94 every week, which
Do you
is
change it?
no.
you
But
cut-
then
cut
on
corners?
on the site,
on, Jess.
you have like 5K.
I just look at it and go,
PB
well, I ran
parkrun.
parkrun. In my head, it's parkrun, so it
Exactly.
doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Like, it's- I got out on
Parkrun
Saturday
is
morning,
a
I
different
ran.
line.
Does
Yeah,
anyone's park run come up with like 6K or something every week?
yeah, there are some that are
And
quite
they've
long.
just measured them wrong. Right, we've got another question. Joe from Melbourne. I'm almost exclusively a trail runner. 3 trail marathons so far this year, 3 to go. I don't
Nice.
like driving in trail shoes. Heavy tread catches on pedals, and I often strap my ankles. Neither of those make driving fun. So it's winter in Melbourne at the moment, and it's often pretty miserable. Mud, grit, rocks. So when I carefully put my toe socks on in the car park, I ensure nothing gets wet. I then put my shoe on, and then I repeat the same. Am I a psychopath? So basically, he's doing.
Yeah, you are a psychopath. Because,
sock
and I'll
followed
tell
by
you
shoe.
why. So he's putting flip-flops on, thongs, as they're known in Australia.
Yeah.
And then he's putting his toe socks on. So all I'm saying, if you were putting on a regular sock,
I don't think
I
he
think
is.
you would
just
have.
put your sock on first.
He's putting a sock on first.
Oh no, sorry, as in he's wearing flip-flops in the car to drive there.
Yeah.
Then when he gets out,
Yeah.
he's then putting a toe sock on.
Correct.
Then he's putting a shoe on.
Yeah.
Psychopath. Then he's putting another toe sock on. And then he's putting his second shoe on.
Do you know what, Joe? I
I'm
don't know
saying
what you're doing.
Joe has a pair of flip-flops there. So why can't you drive barefooted in your flip-flops, get out, put on a toe sock? Your toes are still free to do whatever they want. Put that flip-flop back on. Technically, we're not in a shoe here. And then put your second sock on. Then you can proceed to putting your shoes on. Psychopathness avoided.
What's your opinion on wearing flip-flops in the city?
In
Bad?
the city.
In the city.
I just think, like,
Weird?
you surely just have to wash your feet when you get home.
Yeah.
Do you not get home? Do you know what? So I used to live, as I said, closer to the city. And then when I moved out to the countryside, Andy was like, oh, notice now when you come into work, if you go home and blow your nose, your snot will be grey. And I was like, no. Got home, did it.
And it
Grey. Yeah.
I'm sorry about everything, Joe. I don't know what's going on with your life, but I'd like to know more. I'm also sorry
I
it's
need a
winter
diagram
in
at
Melbourne
this
at the
point.
moment.
Just sorry, Joe.
And you really don't like anything wet. Are you sure you want to be living in Melbourne? I'm not sure this is the best place for you.
Also, could he do it in the back of his car?
Yeah.
Just get in the back of your car and do it.
Rethink your life
Joe,
choices, mate.
just get a little mat.
This is all
Joe.
got
Come
too
on.
much,
Can you
Joe.
imagine they're pulling up
Are
to
you
get you a
married,
little
Joe?
mat?
Are you married?
No.
Joe. Tough. It's a tough life out there. Joe, I'm sorry. I hope things improve for you. Yeah, let us know next week. Jess, thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me.
A doctor in ultra running.
Nearly.
That's fascinating.
I'll let you guys know. I'll send you
Nearly.
a little photo of my robes.
Andy will be back next week, won't he?
Back from the Dordogne, ready
Yeah.
to talk about his running and children and the fact that he doesn't want to do an ultramarathon, despite how you've now proved, Jess, that he could fit it in.
If you'd not told me where Andy had gone on holiday, I would have said the Dordogne.
The Dordogne. It's fun to
So
say,
Andy,
isn't it?
yeah.
Anyway, we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.